Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of 26 Minutes With, and this time it's an absolute pleasure to welcome on a veteran of two conflicts, Adam Sterling. I'm really excited about this one, really want to kind of dive in and get to know more about Adam. But Adam, if you'd like to introduce yourself, say hello to everyone, and we'll go.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, Ben. Good to meet you, and finally to get on this with you and get that opportunity to do this together. I've been looking forward to it very much. Adam Sterling. I'm 37. I served in the military from 2001 to 2012 across two infantry regiments. I served in Iraq in 2005, trained recruits for the infantry 2008 to 10, and then I served as a platoon sergeant / platoon commander in Helmand province in 2010, 7 months. We'll touch more on that. We'll go into more depth on that in a bit. And then that led on to kind of working for BP in the Middle East, across to Asia for another company for a few years. I've been all over the world, America, California, lived there, Berlin for a while. Then back into the UK here, where I'm now working for a great company called Met Group. Young family, young son who's 2, first one, partner settled in Leeds. Like it, Yorkshire, beautiful place, great country. That's it really.
Excellent. So military, it's been a massive part of your life. So you say from 2001 to 2012 that you was in the military?
Yeah, 11 years all in. So I joined at 17, pretty much straight out of school. I was at college. Wanted to follow my mum's footsteps to be a chef. Within 2 months, I realised I didn't want to follow my mum's footsteps to be a chef. Wrapped that, and I was walking through town, and I saw at the careers office a poster for infantry, so I just popped my head in. And a bit of an argument with my mum, convincing her to sign the paperwork to let me try out for the military, and then well-winded from there really. I went up to Bassingbourn to do my training, and then Cattrick in North Yorkshire to do like a phase 2 infantry training. And then I started off in Aldershot at the start of 2002 after my training there, with my unit, which was 2 PWR at the time, which was I was with them for about 8 years before I transferred over because of a relationship that was ongoing. I wanted to stay near my ex-partner, so we moved to another regiment called the Royal Irish. So I progressed up through the ranks there quite quick, from Lance Corporal to Corporal to Sergeant. Again, being at training depots, etc. The 2 tours, like so Iraq 05 was interesting. Was kind of just 2 years after the conflict itself. I crossing the border, the war. I spent a lot of time around south of Basra and up in Baghdad itself, doing some operations up there. And then Helmand, Afghanistan was more kinetic. Iraq was more was definitely more peacekeeping. There was a few incidents, IED strikes, minor aggro stuff with civilian population, but Afghanistan was much more guerrilla warfare, kinetic, engagement operation, pin down, cut off, that kind of thing really existing in kind of a day-to-day thing. Sort of every time you saw the sun come up out there was a blessing, to be honest with you. It was very aggressive combat situation.
Yeah, I can imagine. So when you're out in places like that, do you still find it hard to kind of switch off? Because, you know, when we're here, in civilian life, it's very easy for us to go to work and come home and switch off.
Yeah.
When you are constantly at the same place with this going on around you, is it hard to switch off from what is happening outside of where your camp is?
Yeah, so for me, it was more, I'd say as a private and as a bod, for the guys under me, it was definitely hard for them to switch off, because we were within a compound, we were getting hit in the day, at the night, whether we were in the small compound or out. So we were on what you'd known as the FLET, which is a forward line enemy troops. We took over a new compound, occupied it, and then the responsibility was to control the area outside of the compound in order to stop them from digging in IEDs, etc. like that, keep the route open so vehicles could move past us and be able to move more operations in there. So we were trying to link up 2 regiments where there was a bit of a gap that the Taliban were dominating. So within that, for me personally, it was more because I was shouldered with a burden of responsibility for sort of 16 guys plus Afghan army guys, and I was a senior rank within that compound. Mine was more having to focus on keeping people alive, dealing with casualties when we were out, but also there was the other responsibility of managing after action with the guys when somebody would be wounded or killed, having to get them on a helicopter away and get back into the compound, and then keep the guys outside and go and pack up all the other guys' kit and remove it before I let the guys in the room, so they don't have the mental impact straight away, because maintenance and morale is important, especially in warfare, etc. But as the person who's the top of the ceiling for that, as it were, you don't have one, people to talk to about it, and two, you start to get used to having to maintain that constant sort of weight on your shoulders and that level of responsibility. But that's also something that's transferred into my life now, where in my career I'm very I do delegate a lot, but I tend to shoulder a lot as well. And I don't know why, for some reason I want that too. I'm always hunting for more, to bring on more, take on more, and I think it's because of that. That's something that's carried over, and it's never left me, to be honest, since then. And it has at times had a mental impact on me, for sure. It did after the tour. I think I definitely struggled with it. I think it was never having time to process things that had happened out there, because I was always busy being responsible. So if you're a private, you may be, hey, get up from sleep or go on a stag or watch duty up in one of the small towers or sangars that we built, or you might be responsible on a patrol for a period of time, but you get a moment where your brain can shut down when you're in your sleeping bag or whatever. But in a command responsibility, you're constantly assessing information, thinking about the wider tactics, what's going on, having to deal with fixing the bar, everything, you know, or planning patrols, or in the patrol after action, planning ahead for operations, thinking about radios, rations, resupplies, everything like that. Just a constant bigger picture, so you never come down from it. You're always,
your brain is always on the go, and it's not until they say, right, your tour's over, you're on that plane back home, and you get home onto safe land, that things start to process about what actually happened over the last few
then you had
months.
I had a bit of a thing when I got back. I kind of maybe drank a bit too much initially, for the first weeks. I found it hard to stabilize myself mentally, and also found it hard to adjust back to normal life. When at the time I was married, at a military housing quarters, 6 weeks off all to myself. Mrs. was at work every day. You're away from all the guys, then everyone's away on leave, etc. So there's no way to communicate, go through feelings, go over stuff. So, and you have all the time in the world on your hands, so you either go out running, do fitness, or you end up having a beer. It can go down a slippery slope, and finding with guys, it's been like that. And I left the army for a loss of passion for it. I found after that tour I really lost my personal discipline for a while. That was when I had the onset of PTSD. Back then it started to creep in, and it was I think it was, for me, it was more post-traumatic stress was associated to always shouldering responsibility, burden, and looking after people all the time, constantly worrying about the guys and stuff, and then being in a position where I wasn't doing any of that, but also falling out of love for the army because of what was happening to me mentally as well. It kind of chewed me up a little bit, spat me out. Completely different person after the tour than what I was before.
Of course. And are you still in recovery from that now, or is it something that you feel that you've kind of moved past? And
I think you never ever be 100%, but for me, I'm like, you know, I've done things with Rock to Recovery, amazing guys, ex Special Forces, ex Marines that started it up, and they're running that, and they're very cognitive behavior therapy and teaching you ways to manage yourself, manage your mental state, and blocking exercises, etc. that worked for me back then. And it's now, to be honest, I'm a better version of myself. I'm more strong, I'm more able to manage my life, manage what I do in my job. I'm successful in my work. I'm driven. I love the responsibility again, but I've still, the good parts of what I've taken out of it have come with me, like the being able to shoulder responsibility and carry a group forward, and handle high pressure national projects that are kind of really overbearing sometimes, but I'm capable of managing it and internalizing it and processing it and coming up with plans and strategies to handle stuff. And that's from what I've learned through them and the kind of treatments that I had and everything that's helped me to program that into myself. So I'm much better for it. But in the same strength, it will never, I'll never be 100% after. But I don't know if anyone would, to be honest.
No, I can imagine from what people in the military, when they go on tour, the sort of things that they see, I don't think that's the sort of stuff that would ever leave you. Or, you know, if you think about it, you know, people can think back all of a sudden, you could be going about your day, having a great day, something reminds you of something, and you've got that flashback, and right then in that moment, you're back in that place. And, you know, it can pop up at any time. So for people that don't know much about PTSD, can you explain a little bit about what the effects are after you leave, and how they can bring you back down to not feeling in a good space mentally?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of things, really. So, I mean, you've got your varying levels of PTSD, and with a multitude of symptoms that can fit inside of that constitute like the overall package, if you like. And for me, it was more anxiety, lack of sleep, not so much depression, but definitely anxiety, lack of sleep, I'd say. I'd been agitated a lot, kind of restless leg. I wasn't so much going over past incidences, but more I was going over current situations in my life and allowing myself to become stressed out by that, whether it be work or whatever, family stuff. Small things blew up into big deals and big issues, and started to become a little bit of a recluse back then, and I didn't really want to go out and engage or socialize or handle any responsibility, even from like managing bills to whatever. And that's what it, for me, that's what it was. It built up into that over time, and it gets like, it grows, it gets bigger, and it gets more out of control, because if you lose control of certain social aspects, like you're drinking, if you end up drinking a bit more, or I'd never did, but some people might end up going down the realms of narcotics and things, I don't know, and things can blow up even worse, you know? So and there's that as well. And then the other issue is people fall down this slope, and then if they get sort of sucked into, a lot of ex-military guys fall into doing something illegal. I don't know whether it's public disorder, fighting, they get into an encounter or whatever, and then they go into the court system, and then they might get locked up for 3 months or whatever, and then they're gone, they're lost, and mentally they're even further down the track, and it's hard to win it back or win them back. I know at the minute I've seen a few things where certain cases in court, the judges have turned things against veterans that have got PTSD, where, you know, somebody stepped in for them and explained the situation and past stuff that's been going on with them. And I think nationally, in the legal system and within the NHS and stuff, we're starting to become more aware of this, and things are being put into place now to handle it better than we did.
Of course. I think you know, in some cases the worst thing is to, you know, lock someone away, when you really got to think, right, this is the cause of why this person has ended up here in front of us today. Maybe we need to change something to stop that happening. Maybe we need to start out treatment plans. Maybe we need to look more widely into all the mental health issues that could lead someone to this pathway, and open up our services a lot more to the people that need it. Because, you know, mental health is a big thing. Now, I read a stat the other day, well, actually a couple of weeks ago, that every year we have kind of building construction that has the highest suicide rate, but the biggest rise in suicide rates last year was military and ex-military. And we're seeing a massive rise in that, and that's taken the biggest jump last year in any industry. Do you think within the army there's not, as you said before, you're just too much on the go all the time to really think about it?
Everyone is, though. Everyone is. Like, for me, when I left, I was a bit bitter about how I was handled when I left, especially the last year when I signed off to getting out. Nobody noticed what was going wrong with me. But it wasn't until later that I realised, actually, the whole regiment, from the commanding officer down, was in the thick of it for the whole time we were away. So actually every single guy within that unit, from the medics to the CO to the sergeant majors to the drivers to everybody, was going through the same version of what I was going through. They were dealing with the same internal effects. They were maybe handling it differently from one another, but you're all feeling it. So I sort of,
is it kind of that situation that if you all spoke about it together, then that could affect the way that you're going out on patrol the next day?
I mean, they tried. There was the thing called TRIM, which trauma risk management, like practitioners got trained within the units to talk about things and stuff, but it was still very early days back then. I know now the army are very, very conscious about it. It's even starts off at the early days of training for when you join the army, etc. They build it into you so you become more open and about your feelings and be able to talk about things that are going on internally with you, because it's mental trauma is the same as an injury. If you get shot, from a professional military aspect that's funded you as a soldier to train you to make you able to do your job, if you get shot, you're taken out of the game. You know, you're a financial loss. Let's look at it like that. It's the same with mental trauma. So if you don't manage that, the amount of more people they will lose going down the track is massive. And it's not, you know, I'm talking from a business side, it's a big financial burden, let alone a mental issue. The mental issue is we had to get on top of it because of, look at where we're at now, you know, with the government. We're so late to react to things here. We always, everything you see in the media is always a reaction to something happening within anything within the country that's a negative, as opposed to being ahead of the curve and getting in front of things before it gets out of control. And I think that's really why we find ourselves in a position in the UK at the minute where we've got a massive amount of veterans that are really struggling. We've got daily suicide problems. In the US is even bigger because 280 million, the military is a lot bigger. I've lost probably 4 good friends in the last decade to suicide. I know at least 20 guys that have taken their own lives from the military, from 2 regiments that I served in. That's just within my circle. Yeah. So there's that as well. It's difficult to watch for sure and to see what's going on, and it's hard. I lost my best friend in 2018 to it, and I tried to reason with him on the build up to what happened and to him taking his life, but there's nothing beats that professional help, really. And I'd say, no, without trying to sound disrespectful whatsoever, I'd say the NHS are very far behind. And the waiting list, I waited 2 years to get in front of the Veterans Complex Treatment Service. So you imagine somebody who's really high risk being on a waiting list.
Got 2 years to wait.
You might not be here, you know. So, but with certain charities, like my personal favourite is obviously because what they did with me is Rock to Recovery. I know you guys are working with a charity. There's other ones out there, and these are individuals generally that have been through it, experienced it, done the training. They've got thousands of hours delivering therapy. They work with veterans. They work with people in other organisations with mental health. The guys that looked after me also done something with a family member of myself who was struggling, a teenager, which has turned their life around. And I think without having those charities in place, we'd be in an even more worse situation than we are now. And
it's great. It's great that there's so many services that are out there, you know, even going from what the big charities are to right down that I'm coming across some really amazing services and charities right now who are doing amazing stuff locally that we'd really like to be able to build a bit more momentum for the people that do not know about them, because I think it's very, very important to have these services and shout about them as much as we can. At the end of the day,
there's people out there building up these companies and doing it through passion of wanting to help people. And the thing is, when I say about the NHS, there's a lot of nurses and stuff who have been pulled away to work on the wards to help with the pandemic. There was one of the main charities that supported the NHS had to go because they had lost their funding, you know. So on the government side of things, it's really struggling at the minute to deal with not just veterans, but any people that have got mental health issues. There's huge wait lists. So like you say, these charities now are really bridging the gap and they're saving lives. So that's, you know, I'd say to anybody out there, if you've got the passion or you believe that you could do that for a career, go down that road, try it, follow it. But also, if you can financially support one, even if it's just a couple of quid, throw it in, because you don't know what it's going to do towards saving someone's life.
Yeah. Yeah, of course, most definitely. So, you know, a veteran of 2 conflicts, come out, had your experience with PTSD, you searched for the help, you found the help, and now how do you feel now? Where, you know, I know that you said that you've got kids, you've got a missus, you've got a great job that you love. So it sounds like with still controlling those sort of sides, that everything's kind of on the right move. And am I thinking that it's probably a lot of help to do with these support groups and charities that have helped you to get to this position?
Yeah, definitely. It was a process for me way back then when I went through it. It was a process. I didn't realize until I started it how good it would be for me. I was very sort of doubtful going in, but coming out the other side of it and then having my own plan going forward just enabled me to completely reshape my life. And I've become more mentally strong about decisions. Walked away from jobs that just weren't right. Said, you know what, no, I want better for myself. I've channeled my life into getting to where I'm at with my career and work within a great company with great people. We've got the right vision, who've aligned with everything that I want. And that's another thing, I think, even if you're not struggling with PTSD or whatever, but you've got other mental health problems or you want to grow, things you need to talk about. You can develop yourself by just talking to people and realizing there's so much more for yourself if you just reach out and go and get it. And that's another mental health thing as well. It's everybody should be living and operating at the optimal for what they deserve. You get one opportunity to be it, to do the thing we call life. Like, so, you know, it's even about talking to each other and choose what's best for you and do what's right for you, and don't settle for second best ever.
Excellent. Well, look, Adam, it's been inspirational talking to you. You know, I can only thank you for what you have done for the country, and I'm so thankful for the services that were there to help you get back to, you know, enjoying life and having family and enjoying what you do every single day. So to those services that helped you, I'm very thankful, and to you for your service on behalf of me and whoever watches this and anyone in the country. Thank you for what you've done for us.
Yeah, thanks to you guys, and thanks for your vision and what you're doing with Respect Mental Health and where you're taking it in the future. And I know you've got your thing with your family that's going on, your newborn as well, and there's you know, your struggles going on there and stuff, and you're going for it, mate. And I've got nothing but respect for you. Like, I wish you all the best, and if you ever need help with anything, you know where I am.
Thank you so much, and thank you for everyone for sticking with us on this one. It's been a great one to record. Thank you.